What's going on, everybody? Welcome back in to another edition of the Final Whistle Sports Podcast. We're trying to make some moves here, and we decided to drop an episode before being on another week. It is, for us, we're recording Sunday night during the Sunday night football game with Bills and Giants just about to kick off. But, my lovely friend, Joe Ciccoletti, man of his word. A very happy Blaine here, looking at that lovely Washington Redskins RG3, right? RG3 uniform.
Yes,
If you
sir.
guys
Yes,
haven't
sir.
found out yet, Washington beat Atlanta today in Atlanta, and Joe's not very thrilled, but he's being a man of his word, which I appreciate. Joe, how are we feeling?
But I'm gonna tell you this: the only people as happy as you right now is the 1972 Miami Dolphins because that streak is still alive. Because we have no more undefeated teams in the NFL after Week 6. Pretty early, actually. I thought some team was gonna make it to Week 8, Week 9, but here we are. Um, yeah, I'm a little upset about today's game. You know what I mean? We'll get into a little more detail when we get into the game and break it down, but good win for Washington. Both teams sitting at I think 3-3 now, so good
Yep.
stuff. Yeah, weird football day. I'm gonna say that weird football day
Weird
all
football.
around. I can't pinpoint how I felt about it. It just a lot of sloppy play, a lot of underdog teams beating up on the other teams that the
Mm-hmm.
favorites in that case. A lot of injuries once again. Just a very very weird football Sunday to say the least. And it all started out at 9:30 in the London game. So
Well, let's start there, right? And that was one of the games we kind of talked about. Baltimore, Tennessee, a kind of a weird matchup, right? Baltimore coming off of the abysmal showing that allowed them to lose to Pittsburgh last week, and then a Tennessee Titans team that you just don't know what you're going to get week in, week out. Jekyll and Hyde performance. Like you said, the injuries kind of came out in that one big time. Ryan Tannehill had to be carted off with it looked like a very severe ankle injury. So it doesn't look like he will be coming back anytime soon. So healthy recovery out to Ryan, but very funky game. That game, it was in London, right? And it came down to literally the kickers. Like the kickers were the storyline of this game, which is what, people on that side of the pond like to hear when it comes to football, people kicking the ball around. And that's kind of what that game turned into. Lamar did not play great. He played okay, did enough. Defensive storyline was really that Baltimore kind of controlled a Tennessee team that really had nothing in their passing game whatsoever.
yeah, Derrick Henry was shut down in the first half. I thought it was dead in the water for the Tennessee Titans. Tannehill ends up going down with the injury, and then Henry kind of turned it on a little bit in the second half to at least make it a game in the second half, to say the very least. But yeah, the thing that worries me the most about the Ravens is there's just a lot of stops in enemy territory where you're giving up field goals, or you're only getting field goals. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of something similar to what the Eagles are running into the issue right now. Is they're not able to score in the red zone. Hopefully the Ravens can figure that out. I mean, a win's a win, right? In the end, a win is a win, but got to figure it out come, week 10 and on when you start playing these divisional foes once again.
Right. And you kind of nailed it on the head. Justin Tucker had 6 field goals on the day. And where it comes down to with Baltimore, it's going to come down to what if they want to be a true competitor in the AFC, they got to score touchdowns. And like how you nailed it right on the head there with like red zone play was abysmal for them. I think both teams' red zone play was awful. Tennessee, same situation, arguably the best red zone team in football when they get down there. And they were getting Ravens shut them down pretty easily there too. Just
Mm-hmm.
low scoring affair, not great football to watch, if I'm being completely honest. Like
No.
I was not entertained by that football game whatsoever.
Yeah, no, I was tuning in and out here and there. Stop in for a quarter, stop in for our series, and then hop out because other stuff I was had going on at the time. But yeah, it was a weird game to start off the Sunday, but to say the least, I mean, good win by Lamar and the Ravens, and then we turned around to 1 o'clock. You know what I mean? We turned around to 1 o'clock and kept moving on, and again, another 1 o'clock slate that was just weird to me. Not, I wouldn't say like the games were exciting. They were just like, they were okay to me. I was tuned in to all the games. I had 5 different screens going at once. I'm keeping an eye here, keeping an eye in there. Um, Panthers come out hot. They're 14-0 against the Dolphins. All of a sudden, next thing I know, Dolphins is 14-14. Next thing I know, it's
It's over.
35-14. It's done. Over in the water at that point. I mean, that Dolphins offense is impeccable right now.
Oh,
It's incredible.
yeah.
It reminds me of what the Chiefs had 3 to 4 years ago when Tyreek Hill was there.
Yes.
Except this team can run the hell out of the ball. Raheem
This
Mostert is killing it right now.
This team I think they're more closer to the greatest show on turf than what they are than the Kansas City comparison. Just
All right.
speed everywhere. And
Yeah.
like you said, being able to run the ball, that team had Marshall Faulk just absolutely blowing past teams. And I mean, they were just it was pass the ball, speed, speed, speed. That's what I see here a little bit, but different type of offensive scheme a little bit, right? With how Mike McDaniel uses his speed everywhere. But that's what it kind of reminds me of. Just like you guys are going to have to score basically 35 points if you want to be in the game, let alone have a chance to win, right? So
This win today doesn't really do much to me.
no,
They
it does
lost.
not.
I would be like, whoa, okay, what's going on? But this win to me for the Dolphins doesn't do anything. Again, when they went up against the Bills, they lost to the Bills. That's a tough loss. Next week, when they go up against the Philadelphia Eagles, we'll see how they do there against that defensive front and against an offense like what the Eagles are. But yeah, this win doesn't do much for me. Once again, the Texans game, CJ Stroud still putting together what he can do and still being able to win the game. Granted, Saints team isn't a high-powered offense or a great defense of that nature, but they came out. They played a solid second half to hold it together.
Yep.
And I hate to say it, they kind of gave the Saints a lot of opportunities to kind of get back in this game or tie the game at one point. They did win 20-13, but I got to give credit to CJ Stroud. He is playing pretty good ball right now. Did throw his first INT of the year. But yeah, I don't know if you got a chance to watch that game, but I just thought CJ Stroud was playing good ball.
So I watched a lot of the fourth quarter of that one because it was jumping back and forth a lot between our game, right? And then it would jump kind of New Orleans, Houston. That was kind of the ones I was watching.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can give kudos to Texas. D'Amico Ryans has this team playing way better than anyone anticipated. Like 3-3 right now. I honestly, I bet you many people thought 3 was going to be their win total the whole freaking year. So
yeah, I think it's 4.5. Vegas has 4.5.
So great job by D'Amico already. But I got to talk about how abysmal the freaking New Orleans Saints are on offense. Like you brought in Derek Carr, you paid him this money to make an impact, and it looks just atrocious. That's the nicest word I can actually come up with because I would say some very fruitier terms when it comes to how bad they look. Can't run the ball. Derek Carr threw the ball 50 times today. That never bodes well as he's been in New Orleans and when he was in Vegas.
Yep.
His ideal throw count is probably around 30 to 35, right? Like, yeah. So that he's more of a guy that looks for balance, and they can't run the ball. Kamara got 19 carries, 68 yards. So not great, not awful, right? But like, then their kicker, man, but you're on thin ice. You missed 2 this week. You missed I think another one the week before. Like, New Orleans wins that game if their kicker makes his 2 kicks. Because they don't have to go for the touchdown those last 2 possessions. All they have to do is kick, and they win the game. And the kid missed a chippy, too. I think one of them was like, 28 yards or something like that? Like, and it wasn't even close from 28 yards.
Yep.
So, and I don't like to ask for call for someone's job or anything like that, but like, I'm just going based off of what I saw today. Like, it was bad. It was bad for that kicker, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. We can skip these two games because these were just bad football games.
Oh,
Jaguars Colts. I don't even need to
the
talk much
Gardner
about it.
Minshew revenge game never took place.
He was horrible. He was god awful to watch. I had that game on because I do have Michael Pittman in fantasy league, so I'm trying to
Yo,
keep an eye
Pittman was a
on him.
bucket today.
Yeah, on the last drive because they were desperate at that point. Meanwhile, Gardner's just he had money on the Jaguars. That's the only thing I can think because he threw passes that were 10 yards above the head of his wide receivers. Threw pick. What do you have? 4 picks he ended with? It's like,
Yeah,
dude, get the
something like
hell out of
that.
here. And the other snooze fest was the Vikings and Chicago Bears. You know it's at
How?
and it's
All right, no. How in God's name did Minnesota not blow those guys out today? That's what I'm kind of more. I'm was
who,
the game was
who's
awful, but like
who's Kirk Cousins throwing to?
I don't know, but it's got to be better than what the Chicago Bears put out there today. They played with a guy I've never actually heard of in that fourth quarter with a chance to win.
Well, yeah,
Who's
yeah,
this
it's
kid's
not great.
Tyson? I don't even know how to say it. Bagent? Shepherd College. What?
Just keep moving along with it.
I
At
don't
that
know.
point,
All right. I mean,
um, it's
Minnesota.
the
They
NFC
both
North.
freaking suck. It's fine.
Yeah, it's the NFC North. Nobody really cares enough about that. You just keep moving along. And it was a shitty game to begin with, and that's what we are. So, um,
Honestly, all of these games today never really screamed great defense. It was more just really bad offense.
yeah, I
Like the
thought there was a
games were
lot
so
of
low
turnovers.
scoring. I never really got to the point where this team is locking them down. Like this is elite defense. I never saw that really today.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot of turnovers today. I mean, Tua even threw like a pick today, which was like, oh, okay, this is
Mm-hmm.
kind of weird, right? I think CJ Stroud threw his first one today. I think Carr threw one as well. Gardner threw 4. Trevor Lawrence even threw 1 or 2, I think, today as well. I couldn't even tell you what happened in that
Burrow and
Vikings game.
Gino threw a handful of picks in their game, and that was one of the games we were trying to watch. That was a good one, 17-13.
That was another weird
What
game.
on
Like,
earth is that?
what's that?
I'm hearing something in my ear. I don't know. My ears were bugging out for half a second.
Oh, okay. Now Seahawks Bengals game was a weird game because that first half was kind of electric. They were kind of both moving the ball relatively down the field, and then all of a sudden the Bengals defense really clamped up in that second half. They were able to get pressure on Gino. He was under a lot of distress. DK ended up getting kind of hurt, was in and out of the game a little bit here
Mm.
and there with the hip injury. Um, Gino was trying to find Tyler Lockett. He was trying to run the ball with Kendall Walker, but I mean, Joe Burrow kind of looks like he's back to Joe Burrow kind of play a little bit. He made some big time plays when he needed to. I mean, that stats aren't going to show it. 185 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. It ain't going to show it. But when he had to make the throws, he made the throws that he did. It was just a weird
Right.
game, though, like a 17-13 game. And it just was a weird game. It should have been higher scoring, I thought, in my opinion, but it wasn't. So,
Yeah. And I think for Cincinnati, this was definitely more of a statement game for them, right? How we've been kind of talking since he's going to starting to slowly trend in that direction, right? Where
oh,
they could easily just start to rally off games, right? They got San Francisco in 2 weeks now as they go on to their bye week. You had Seattle who came off of their bye, really didn't look like they prepped for their bye week in their bye week at all. They
no.
looked total miscommunications all over the field. Gino looked absolutely flustered back there. He made a couple of good throws, but Cincinnati basically told them, we'll let you go down the field and we'll just lock you down from the 25-yard line in." Where most of his mistakes really came was down in Cincinnati's own defensive end.
Oh, yeah.
So interesting when it comes to that one. Another low scoring affair. Um, what else did we have? Nothing really else out there other than the upset that took place.
The
The
one.
Cleveland Browns at one pulled off a 9.5 point underdog win with PJ Walker. winning 19-17, hand the San Francisco 49ers their first loss on the season. Brock Purdy came back to reality in this ball game. Deebo Samuel out for most of the second half. Christian McCaffrey out for most of the second half. Two big injuries for San Francisco to kind of follow moving forward. But you got to give, weather was a little nasty, right? Pretty rainy out in Cleveland, but Cleveland Browns showed up and played with an intensity with Deshaun Watson kind of being declared out a couple days ago. Like it wasn't like he was declared out right before the game. And they rallied behind PJ Walker. The defense knew that they had to be elite to have any chance in this game. And PJ Walker just made just enough plays.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they came out the game hot, San Fran.
Mm-hmm.
Christian McCaffrey, once again, I think he's at 15 straight touchdowns when he plays. And I think somebody put a thing out there. If they put a $10 bet at the beginning of 15 games till now, I think they would have made like $2.5 million or $5.2 million, some astronomical number if you keep rolling it over. But yeah, they came out the game hot. I'm like, all right, here we go. San Fran's gonna win. It's gonna be like 30-17 or 30-10 maybe.
Yeah.
And they're just gonna steamroll. The next thing I know, halftime, San Fran I think comes up with a little bit of a lead. Not too much though. But yeah, like you said, the injury I thought killed him. And you said he come back down to earth, but let's be honest. If I told you lost your wide receiver one, you're literally RB1, maybe your offensive weapon number one in this team as well. Now you're at the point where it's like, hey, you kind of are struggling. Trent Williams also went out, I think, with an injury. I think he might have returned as well. He also left with an injury. So I don't put the blame on Purdy too much in this game at all. I just think Cleveland Browns have made the necessary plays to win the game, and that's just what it is. I mean, let's be honest, the Niners got down there and gave their kicker a chance to win this game.
Right.
Okay? It's not like Purdy threw a pick at the end and that's what finished him off. Like, no. Moody had a chance to win that game. And it wasn't an astronomical field goal length. Like, I'm pretty sure it was 40 yards.
Yeah, around there, something like that.
That's on him. We could be having a different conversation right now. We're like, oh, San Fran didn't look good, but they won the game, But they lost the game, so that's the reason why we're having it. But I don't put the blame like that much on Purdy as in that case at all.
Well, I think to be fair, Joe, this team was pretty up there in comparisons those first 5 weeks of the year. Rightfully so, right, with how dominant they kind of were. And, I mean, they do have a four-headed monster, and they still had the other two. And George Kittle had 1 yard. One.
Yeah, but just as well as I do, George Kittle has games like this.
George Kittle he does dud out a lot. That's the one thing that between him and Kelsey, that's the huge moment. Kelsey will still a mediocre game for Kelsey, still like 6 catches for 70 yards.
Was it last week he had the 3 touchdowns?
Yeah.
I think. Okay. Yeah, last week he had 3 touchdowns. It's like, holy crap, George Kittle again. But if I looked up a week or two before, the stats there, it's probably not great.
He really 18 catches for 216 yards through these games. He's only really averaging 3 catches a week.
But then, week 2, they go up against the Rams. He only got 3 catches for 30 yards.
Yeah, that's right. That's fair.
He just has blow-up games probably 3 or 4 times out of the year, out of the probably 15 games, because he's always good to miss a couple games for sure.
Right.
So what you just said, 1 catch for 1 yard, doesn't surprise me at all, because that's what George Kittle is. George Kittle is a great tight end, but he's great because he's able to block. He's an excel blocker. But I don't think, like, catching-wise, though, he's like a top 3 tight end, though. I think there's a lot of other tight ends better than him that can catch the rock, and that's what shows in his stats. But is that also on the play calling of Kyle Shanahan, though, as well?
I think it's got to be a little bit of both, right? I think they had how many passes did Purdy throw today? 27. I feel like they kind of, when McCaffrey went out, they did abandon that run game a little bit too early.
Probably.
I mean, their backup back isn't I don't think he's that bad. Jordan Mason, he's really not that bad of an option as a backup RB2. Like
I guess
physical runner.
Elijah Mitchell out, I guess.
No, he's there. He's just been basically moved to RB3, which is kind of surprising.
Interesting. Interesting.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
So
look, good win for the Browns because they needed it. They needed to keep up in that division, and everyone kind of doubted them. Vegas was one of them at 9.5.
I
You
would
know,
I would have pounded the Niners minus 9.5, knowing
yeah.
PJ was playing.
So, I mean, good win for them. It was kind of a weird week in the NFL, week of a lot of underdogs taking out the favorites, and especially in our game as well. You know,
You want to talk our game a little bit? The floor is yours because like we kind of texted about this. I mean, I am ecstatic as a Washington fan to win this little bet because that means I didn't have to run over to to fans or lids to go get myself an Atlanta Falcons jersey really fast before this. So, but I'll be honest, we did not win that game. The Atlanta Falcons lost that game today.
Oh, 100%. I thought our defense really struggled in the first half, but definitely the second half is when they turned it back on. They were able to get pressure on Sam Howell, which I kind of figured was going to happen. That's kind of the Achilles heel for the Commanders right now is their offensive line. I mean, they give up how many sacks a game? I mean, you know better than me, probably at least 3 to 5 sacks a game.
Yeah, something
Um,
ridiculous.
I didn't think they were able to run the ball well today either. So, which I was kudos to the Atlanta Falcons on the defensive side. But I mean, Terry McLaurin got his, especially in that first half.
Yep.
But I mean, Ritter lost. I mean, I hate to say it, Ritter lost in the game. Ritter missed a lot of passes today, which I thought were fairly easy passes that he should have completed. There was a crossing route to Matt Collins that he probably should have hit, would have got him an easy first down. There was a couple passes in the end zone I thought he could have hit. Van Jefferson, he had on a deep fly. And that one I'm not as upset about, but he literally had Van Jefferson for a touchdown, like 50, 60 yards. And that was the first time I've seen Desmond Ritter actually throw the ball more than 25 yards. So, we get in that fourth quarter, and I hate to say it, the Commanders gave the Falcons a lot of chances to score in
We
that
went
fourth
three
quarter.
and out every time we got the ball.
Too many times. I'm like, holy crap, man. Like, what is Atlanta going to figure it out? But I hate to say it, the greediness of Arthur Smith and his play calling. Like, why did he go for 2-point conversion when you were down? Was it 8?
Stupid.
Yeah, 8 at the time you're going for it. I get the analytics side, but just kick the extra point. You're gonna go in up 7. Like, who cares? Like 6 or 7 isn't gonna kill you right now, right?
And you had 2 cracks at it, though, to be fair. You did have 2
Yeah,
chances to get it.
yeah, and the announcers kept saying it great, right? Like, how many plays are you gonna have that you can play at the 2 yard line that is like your go-to plays? You only have
Yep.
like 2, 3, maybe 4 max. You've already wasted 2 of them. I think the next drive they got similar thing, and that was 3 of them right there. But yeah, I just thought Ritter played pretty bad in that second half, especially that fourth quarter. Stats wise, it isn't going to show up. But again, one thing that's been kind of killing us the last 3 to 4 weeks is we're not able to run the ball right now. Granted, I know the Commanders got a solid run defense, and not a great secondary at all. But I mean, Drake London had a really good game. I thought. Kyle Pitts finally found the end zone. That was a anomaly to say the least. Matt Collins was able to find it, but yeah, it was on Ritter today. That's all I can say, and I'm kind of over it now as a Falcons fan. Like, I try to give him a little bit of credit, especially this game. Like, I hate to say it, like, where you and Sam Howell are is kind of where you should be, but you've played more games than Sam Howell now. You should be playing better than Sam Howell, but he's not.
Mm-hmm.
He's not. And truthfully enough, I mean, it was definitely a good standing point for the Falcons to be like, all right, this is a team that's kind of where you maybe are a little bit.
Yep.
But you should be slightly better, I personally think. And you're at home and you lost that game the way you did. And yeah, I blame Arthur and I blame Ritter. Will QB change happen next week? Absolutely not. It's not going to happen still. But it is what it is as a life Falcons fan. So,
Would you try and explore the market or maybe make a phone call out for Kirk Cousins?
I mean, Kirk Cousins doesn't do anything. Kirk Cousins is not going to change this team. It it may all right. Let me rephrase it. It's going to change this team short term, but it's not going to change this team long term. The
Right.
issue is long term is we still have the question mark at quarterback. Kirk Cousins comes.
Is a one
I'm,
year is a this year fix. That's it.
but either way, if you're trading for Kirk Cousins, you're also planning to sign him after. Plain and simple. That's the only reason you also would be trading for him,
Hmm.
unless an injury happens to some team significantly, and then you make a move, right? Uh, but for the Falcons, say if you're trading for Kirk Cousins, you're planning to sign him long term. Why would I want to sign a 35-year-old quarterback for the next 2 to 3 years? I would, I'd rather either find a younger quarterback or draft a younger quarterback to grow with this team as they progress into the future. It's we don't need a bridge right now. That's what they tried to do last year with Mariota. And just it's not worth it in my opinion.
All right, I think that's fair. From a Washington perspective, I think this was a great rallying moment for this team. I think today's game was a stepping off point, especially after how bad we played a week and a half ago against Chicago. Got absolutely blown out, where Chicago is arguably the worst team in football. New England is making a case to be a part of that conversation now, same as the New York Giants. But in a situation where you got blitzed by a very bad football team to come up with a performance and make Ritter made some bad reads, but Jamin Davis jumping that last route on Robinson. I mean, Ritter pretty much knew he was going that way the whole time, but to make the play still to come up with a victory, that's kind of a good stepping off point with New York next week. So as a Washington fan, I'm kind of pleased that puts us with an opportunity to be over 500 going into the Philly game. So you never know at that point, right? So kind of keeping ourselves competitive. I think that was kind of the notion that I got from this team this year. It was going to be whether or not we could close out games, right? And it's kind of been a hit or miss that we've been extremely competitive all year long outside of the Bills Bears game. So 4 out of the 6 games, it's a one possession football game, and we're 3-1 in those. You gotta say that Ron Rivera and Eric Bieniemy's got those guys cherishing the moment in crunch time right now. So, which is nice to see.
I would think you're probably in the same boat as the Falcons. That your goal this year is to find out if the quarterback that you have is on the roster right now for the future.
Correct. 110%.
I think that's the kicker, right? And if it's not, then it's like, all right, well, we got to make a move in the draft next year or figure out something for the future.
If I had
And
to
true,
grade through 6 games, he's not our answer. If I was grading through 6 games, like
all
he
right,
has some, he reminds me of what Alex Smith was when Eric Bieniemy was in Kansas City. So like he's gonna be good enough to keep you competitive, but he's not gonna be the reason you win, right? So
I don't know. There was that Eagles game was rather impressive what he did at the end to come back and like get that team to overtime.
I also
Okay.
blame Philly's stupidity on that to be a part of it.
Yeah, yeah, but like also like
So
I
let them
think
make the plays. It's fair.
I think Hal is in a way worse situation than Ritter is with the Falcons. That's what I think.
How so?
You guys have no offensive line at all.
No, I know. Yeah, that's fair.
But at least the Falcons have an offensive line that can protect Ritter to an extent. Actually, I kind of think the Falcons' offensive lines that when they play and they're actually supposed to play, they're a top 7 unit in the league.
Okay.
You also, I mean, granted, you got to give the enemy credit because he is getting something out of the running game. But like I would say, the Falcons also are getting. I mean, got Bijan Robinson. I mean, that's just enough said there. Um,
But
Wide
they're
receivers.
they're pitch counting Robinson right now.
Oh yeah, you're trying to keep them all year. I mean, the man's still playing 67, probably playing 65, 75% of the snaps still. You just don't
Yeah.
realize it. Like he's not always in the backfield. That's the issue.
That's
He
yeah,
comes
because
out
he
wide.
goes out to play wide out a little bit.
Yep. So I think you got to take what you can with Hal because like you also got to realize the situation he's in right now, what he's got at
Right.
this point. When like against the Eagles is very impressive to come back and at least lead this team to overtime. Now, granted, when he goes up against the Cowboys, he's going to get absolutely destroyed. I hate to tell you that.
No, this is I'm looking at our schedule. These next 5 games are kind of our make it or break it. We're in New York next week. We host Philly. We're at New England. We're at Seattle. We host New York. If there's a stretch where you have to go 3-2. Have to.
I think you can. No, no. I think it's doable.
I
I
think
think it's
3-2
doable.
is
Yep.
doable. I think this makes it or break it if we're going to be competitive this year with meaningful games down the stretch. I think we have to go 4-1 in our next 5
I
to
don't think you're
beat.
going to get to that.
I don't think we will either, but we go through a Cowboys, Dolphins, Rams, Jets, Niners, Cowboys. Right? We go through a gauntlet to end the year, so you got to go 4-1 if you want a meaningful football the rest of the way.
Yeah, but what's competitive for you right now? Like I just said, competitive is to find out your quarterback of the future. If
Right,
your
but
team
the
finishes,
personal vendetta of wanting to have more meaningful football games outweighs that.
yeah, but you knew coming into it, the Washington Commanders were probably going to be the last place in this NFC's division.
Not this year, we ain't.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a different story for the Giants, but
But yeah, no, that was the realistic expectation, 100%.
yep. So with that being said, like as long as you find out if Sam Howell's your quarterback and you go up against like relatively um equal partners and get an idea of what he can do for you, it's great. When you go up against the Eagles, it's just like, well, you're hoping for the best, right? Hopefully he doesn't get destroyed. When you go up against Dallas, because they're defensive front, you got no shot to protect. Like
Right.
I hope he doesn't get hurt. San Fran, it's like, well, I hope he doesn't get hurt. But like against Seattle, like, yeah, you're gonna be tested going to Seattle, but you got a shot at least. It's not like
Yeah.
you're dead in the water. Giants, you should try to, at least split, maybe get 2 out of them. Patriots, hopefully, is it in New England or are you at home?
It's in New England, so the fans will
Tough
show up,
one,
but
tough one. Going to the Rams, like tough one. It's just like as long as you see something. All right, if you don't win or lose, it doesn't matter. What you want to see is okay, how is Sam Howell doing? Because if you're like, all right, hey, we're gonna go in on Sam Howell. Next year comes around, you got your first round pick. You
yeah.
better be taking offensive tackle. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, without question, our pick should be O-line unless we have one of those top 3 picks.
Yeah. So, yeah, but tough game for the Falcons. That's why I'm here wearing a Washington
Redskins.
Redskins actually.
You're
But
wearing the Redskins.
yeah. So yeah, let's keep moving on.
The true Washington team name.
There you go. Let's move it on. 4 o'clock games. Patriots Raiders game was a dud.
Sucked.
Jimmy G got hurt. I don't know.
Again.
Apparently went to the hospital, I heard. So
I think they said it might be a nerve thing.
yeah, I'm hoping he's all right. 2 questions. Is it time to pull Mac Jones?
Yes.
Second question. Is Bill Belichick, is this his last season?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think it depends, right? If they get the number 1 overall pick, then no. Because I think he'll take Caleb Williams.
See, I think he leaves if they get the number 1 overall pick.
Because he doesn't want to do a full rebuild.
Correct.
I don't think his ego would allow him to go out like that, though.
Yeah. My other thing is this, because we've heard rumors now that Caleb Williams will kind of not come out if he goes to a bad organization. Do you consider the Patriots a bad organization?
That's a tough question, right? Because I think the GM, Bill Belichick, is hurting the head coach, Bill Belichick. I think how he created this roster has extremely handcuffed how he can coach this team.
I agree.
If the team has no identity. Like for Mac Jones, he's got to be perfectly protected. Offensive line sucks. No run game because offensive line sucks.
Mm-hmm.
You have 3 wide receivers that are possession wide receivers that do not know how to create space. I mean, Devontae Parker, great 50-50 ball guy. That's what he was known for in Miami, right? Just throw it up to him and have him go get it. He can't
Mhm.
even get downfield enough for that to even be a possibility because Mac's under duress. I don't say Max is a part of the problem, but he's not the entire problem. There are issues everywhere.
Oh yeah. Well, like you said, offensive line's terrible. At least last year when they had Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson, like at least it was like, well, they're able to run the hell out of the ball. And that's how they were able to win games, is by beating
Yeah.
you by on the ground. But on the flip side this year, like they can't run the ball at all. They've now lost two of their star defensive players in Judon and Christian Gonzalez now. So like their
Yeah.
defense is dead in the water right now. Um, I mean, yeah, they're getting pretty damn close to being a top three, top five pick in next year's NFL draft. Um, with that being said, though, is it like, well, is it time to take a quarterback, or is it time to like take another position at that height?
If I were New England, they've got so many issues, right? Like, how much does the quarterback really prep this team going into next year if they take a
Yeah,
quarterback?
like
Like,
if you get number one, and Caleb Williams does come out, like great,
you take him, right? But if
that would be stupid. But if it's two,
you
like
trade back, I would trade back if you know you're not getting Williams. No offense to Drake May. That's nothing against him. But New England has so many other problems that like
yeah,
Caleb Williams' mobility kind of would mask some of those, right? It's not like Drake May's not mobile, but he's not to the mobility of a Caleb Williams and the creativity of a Caleb Williams.
correct, correct. So, but I do want to go back. Like I, as a franchise, I think the Patriots are good, but like, was it just covered up and masked up because you had the greatest quarterback of all time?
See,
And Tom Brady.
I think those questions continue to escalate now after how outside of that first year with Mac where they exceeded expectations immensely. These last 2 years have really kind of thrown them back into reality of how far behind the eight ball this team really was. Because it's not like they weren't behind the eight ball really when Tom was there those last couple of years, right? They were not competitive in those playoff games when they got there. You could see the difference in competition. And was a Tennessee Titans team, especially that last year, right? That absolutely bullied them on both sides of the ball.
I actually think like a lot of Bill Belichick's coaching tree, as you notice, is starting to fall behind the times. I've kind of noticed now with
Mm-hmm.
Mike Vrabel, and Josh McDaniels as well. Like you kind of see these teams fall behind. Now, granted, their personnel probably isn't the best, but you kind of see now a little bit that um, other coaching trees are starting to blossom a little bit more. The Kyle Shanahan's tree is pretty extensive right now and kind of
Right.
doing fairly well. I mean, Sean McVay already has a Super Bowl, and actually, this team actually kind of looks pretty good.
Yeah.
With the Rams, Miami looks great with Mike McDaniel. So like that's just two, and I'm probably missing another one as well. Oh, Matt LaFleur, as well,
Mm-hmm.
and keeping Green Bay still kind of afloat for what he's got. But yeah, I think Bill Belichick's tree is maybe a little bit too far behind the times, and something needs to get figured out, to say the least.
Oh, 100% agree. I think you might see, I think Bill kind of teased it a little bit today with Malik Cunningham in the game. A couple plays. He didn't throw the ball or he didn't run the ball either time, but I think you're going to see him before you'll see Zappy or Will Greer behind center being the backup quarterback moving forward.
Oh,
If Matt gets benched, I think it's Cunningham moving forward because he just gives them a different look. And with that offensive line being so bad, the man's got wheels.
oh yeah, oh yeah,
So
oh
I
yeah.
think you'll see that. All right, let's jump to, I mean, the Rams Cardinals game, pretty much a dud. Rams kind of very dominant in that second half. Kind of were stuck in first gear for that first half. Arizona played pretty good defense. Arizona couldn't capitalize on the opportunities, only settling for Matt Prater field goals. And Stafford and Cup finally got on the same page a little bit in that second half and really ran away with that one. No real questions there. The real fascinating matchup of the day that I was kind of watching was Detroit, Tampa Bay, 2 one-loss teams. This was kind of more of a make it break it game for kind of both squads, teams that were kind of teetering, where we've kind of had extremely high praise for Detroit, and for Tampa Bay was kind of for them to make a statement to say that they were a true threat in the NFC a little bit by going head to toe with Detroit at home. And that really never went into fruition. Joe's got the pup in the little ground there. But Mayfield showed me exactly what Baker Mayfield is. Struggled in that moment. Detroit is still worlds better than Tampa Bay is right now. And I think that was kind of the biggest takeaway, is that Tampa Bay may be a team that's going to win the NFC South, probably based off of these first couple weeks of the front runner. But that doesn't mean that they're a true threat in the NFC.
I completely agree. I think the Lions still have shown that they're still they're a very, very good football team right now, especially in the NFC. It's Tampa Bay has now lost. Their 2 losses are to probably top 3, top 4 team in the NFC, and
Yep.
it wasn't even a contest for them. I kind of thought.
In both games they haven't been competitive.
No, not especially their offense has not been competitive. Their defense is it's okay. It's not like what it was 2 to 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I thought they did okay against the Lions, especially in that first half. I think they held them to 6 points, I think, in the first half.
10 points.
10 points, was it? Okay. That 10 points, I thought
10 points each half.
Which
is pretty good.
Yeah, I thought they were able to hold the Porta to very minimal. I mean, Amon's going to get his, and he did, especially in that second half. It's crazy amount. But it's their offense. Truthfully enough, they're not able to run the ball at all. I was watching, and it's like Rashard White is is their workhorse back. That is what he is. But he can't get out of the backfield because his offensive line is just getting absolutely derailed by the defensive line. And is that kudos to the Lions and the Eagles, defensive line being that great? Right. I mean, the Eagles, yeah. The Lions, I mean, I don't think they're that good. But on the same sense, Baker was getting
16 carries, 16. The Tampa Bay Bucks had total 16.
Yep. Too many 3 and outs. Baker missed a lot of deep balls that he had 2 guys deep. I think the rookie wide receiver that they have, I forget his name, missed them twice. I thought Chris Godwin played pretty good. Evans was okay. Just wasn't there for Baker though. It wasn't Baker's day. He plays tough. I mean, that is what it is. But I think you hit the nail on the head. He's gonna play well in games that he should be playing well, but in games that you're going up against a bigger matchup and you really need to show up, he's just not doing it. And that's just what it was this season. This NFC South is going to be competitive between the 3 teams, the Falcons, the Saints, and the Bucks. Who's going to come out victorious? I mean, it's going to be kind of just based, seems on who's going to win a divisional game come December? That's just what it's going to be.
100%.
But come playoff time, I mean, whoever the 5th seed's going to be, Dallas maybe, I guess, would be right now, or Seattle.
Dallas or Seattle. Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to take Dallas and Seattle over if the Bucks host any day right now. So.
100% agree. I think we kind of said it already, but Tampa Bay's had their 2 opportunities to show that they're at least going to be competitive, and that really hasn't come into fruition. And both games were at home. So there's nothing to say that we were on the road. It was in your building and you guys didn't show up. And y'all brought up the creamsicle jerseys. You bring those out, it's serious. And you laid an egg. You looked like that expansion team that first year today a little bit.
Yep.
I love also
Baker.
Love them.
Oh,
so
probably
delicious.
the best throwback Probably the
100%.
best throwback uniform in the NFL that comes out. But I mean, you look at stats. Baker went 9 of 37. What's that, like barely over 50%? I mean, it's terrible. I mean,
Yeah,
that should
well,
be it. You got to be over 65% in the NFL.
yeah,
But
19 and 37.
Chris Godwin 6 for 77. That's pretty Chris Godwin-esque. But
Yeah.
Evans 4 for 49. Oh, Trey Palmer, that was the name I was missing. He was one. He missed some two deep balls he missed on him. If he connected them, they probably actually would have scored. It might have been 21-20 at that point. Um, but yeah, but again, like you're not able to run the ball. I mean, like you said, it was 13 carries between their two running backs. 13 carries. That ain't football. You got to
Right.
run the ball. You got to balance it out to an extent. 13 compared to 37. Got to find a happier median there. I hate to tell you that. So, hopefully the Bucks
And
can turn it
Detroit
around.
got Jameson back this
Yeah.
week. They looked like they had another gear now with that man out on the outside.
Now I will say, second half though, when David Montgomery did go down, the team was a little more weird. Detroit
Oh,
Lions, like they were like,
he Jared Goff started throwing the ball over the yard.
yeah, he was like, I got to throw the hell out of this
They
ball.
they did not trust. Well, they also didn't. I don't think did Gibbs play. I don't think Gibbs
No,
played
Gibbs is
today.
out. He's got a
Yeah,
hamstring issue still.
right.
So
So at that
hope.
point, you had Craig Reynolds as your running back. I don't even know who that is. So
Oh, Craig Reynolds, he's a great. And last year, 2 years ago, he had a great run at the end of the year, help out a lot of fantasy football teams. But yeah, Craig Reynolds. I mean, he's okay back, but like, I mean, 10 carries for 15 yards. I mean, he ain't gonna do much for you.
you're
Um,
only saying that because he's a Kutztown guy.
yeah, because that guy actually. Yeah, it still shows to me that this game, the Lions still proves a lot that hey, they're still right there in the top three conversation once again for being a top three team in the NFC. That's it, plain and
That's fair.
simple.
All right.
But now they're tied with two other teams with record wise in the San Francisco 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles, everybody.
Philadelphia Eagles. All I gotta say is the New York Jets are probably starting to. They saw Aaron Rodgers came out in the field, threw the crutches off a little bit, slinging it. They're like, "Yo, we gotta. He coming. He coming." All they were hyped.
Jets.
And Zach Wilson wasn't the reason they won the game, but he wasn't the reason they lost the game either. Pulled one out. Defense was elite, shut down Philadelphia, and shut them out in the second half for a 20-14 upset victory in MetLife. Joe, takeaways there. My biggest thing is that the New York Jets defense was phenomenal today.
Agreed. That was the way to win the game. I mean, not one, not two, but three interceptions. Jalen Hurts ended up throwing. It kind of showed the Jets kind of took the game plan of what the Patriots did week one, right? They tried to limit Jalen Hurts and force Jalen Hurts to make bad decisions, and that's what Jalen Hurts did. Unfortunately, the Eagles weren't able to get the run game going at all. DeAndre Swift held under I think 20 yards on the ground to say the least. Granted, Lane Johnson did get hurt, unfortunately, so that's always a kicker for them once he goes out.
Right.
But bad mistakes. Probably Jalen Hurts one of his worst games in his NFL career, maybe the worst game in his NFL career. And unfortunately, the Jets did just enough, especially in the offense, to get a chance for them to win, and they did win. But their defense played outstanding ball today. 3 INTs, 3 turnovers, to say the least. A lot of batted down balls for Jalen, and they were actually able, I thought, to kind of contain Jalen and not get them big 10, 12, 15-yard runs that he actually does. I was kind of watching that when he was Jalen, especially when he was kept rolling out to his right and he kept rolling long, high out to the right outside of his offensive line. By the time he would start running it by the line of scrimmage, there was guys already there.
Right.
So that was a big thing with the Jets. I mean, Robert Saleh is always going to have this defense ready to play. There's no questions about it. It's just what mistakes is this offense going to do that's going to fuck up this game? I hate to say it, but that's exactly what it was. And today, at least Zach Wilson was at least just okay and mediocre, and that just was good enough for the Jets here. So,
No, I think this was definitely a bad Philadelphia today where
oh
Jalen
yeah,
was off, couldn't was not making the correct read. He was starting to try and run a lot today. I think he was usually with him, he'll stay in there and take a couple of reads. I saw a couple of times. It was one read, I didn't see it, and he was like, go. Like he did not trust that offensive line as soon as Johnson went out of the game whatsoever.
yeah. Now, the big thing to me, though, is that they struggled up against the Patriots a little bit, and Patriots had a pretty solid defense at the time. They struggled against the Jets offensively wise, and the Jets got a pretty solid defense as well.
They
Is that
haven't
a
had a complete game yet, Philadelphia. It's either
yeah?
been one or the other.
But is that a tale telling on in the future that when they go up against elite defenses, they're not able to withstand? The offense isn't going to be able to withstand the defense. For instance, they go up against Dallas.
Yeah,
How are they going to do? If they go up against San Fran, how are
right,
they going to do? That's my question. They go up against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's average,
right.
maybe. They were able to kind of dominate that game a little bit and win
Sure,
pretty single-handedly, especially because they were able to run the ball big time.
without question.
Washington. I mean, Washington was able to kind of slow down their run game to an extent,
Jalen
gave up a
played
lot of
lights out.
points.
Yeah,
Yeah, but they were able, but that was the thing. They took away the secondary. So when
right.
you both when the defenses got both, like they're able to semi stop the run, but also play good defense in the secondary. And the Eagles might be dead in the water a little bit. They aren't looking good offensively like they were last year, unfortunately.
Right. They have not gotten the hitting that extra gear that we saw them last year where they were humming for a little while. I think I think a great way to kind of get out of that is play Miami next week, where that game might be the first one to 40 wins. So
Now, now is that more on um it's not you can't even blame the offensive line because all the offensive line was there and they're healthy and that is what it is. Do you blame that on the offensive coordinator switch from Steichen now to I think it's Johnson now, I believe, is their
I
offensive
think there's a
coordinator?
little bit to it because he has made a couple of tinkers that he's made himself that to kind of make it his own offense, not kind of absolutely replicating what Steichen put out there, right? So I think that does have to do a little bit. And when you have a different play caller, it comes in a little differently, right? So you're trying to still figure out those kinks a little bit, but I don't think it should really have precipice. I think you also DeAndre Swift is a very hit or miss back. That's what his calling card was in Detroit. So you don't know there's not really been that consistency where it was with Sanders, right? In the backfield yet. Like Swift's had two monster games and he's had two duds, two whiffs of whether or not he actually was on the field. Like today you couldn't have told me. You could have told me he wasn't there and I would have said okay. So there's a
Yeah.
little bit of that, right? But then on the flip side for the Jets, right? I think they've found their recipe, right? They kind of rally on these home games because Rodgers now is traveling back and forth, coming out to support the team. It kind of
Mhm.
gives them an extra jolt of energy, and you can see that they feed off of him being there a little bit from a leadership perspective. And then I think they've kind of just told Zach like I'm gonna need you to make a couple throws a game where you're gonna have to make an elite throw. Just
Mhm.
give me one or two elite throws and we'll figure it out the rest of the way.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you. No, I agree with you. Yeah, we got two more games still to go. Buffalo, Giants, and then Chargers, Dallas, which we talked about a little bit last week. A couple games we're definitely going to tune into, especially that Monday night game, the revenge of Kellen Moore, as you said.
Yeah, Kellen Moore
Revenge of
revenge
Kellen Moore.
game, baby.
So looking ahead to week 7, we actually got some pretty big matchups. I would say probably 3 big matchups. Lions, Ravens, 1 o'clock in Baltimore. Definitely is going to be a good matchup there. See it going either way, truthfully, say the
Yep,
least.
coin flip for sure.
Oh yeah. Second game you're gonna have always a good one. Chargers Chiefs. It is a 425 game.
Yeah.
Hopefully another shootout because I love them games when they're shootouts. So that'll be another good one there. And then we keep bringing it up here. Sunday night in Philadelphia, Miami Dolphins are visiting the Philadelphia Eagles. The link's going to be rocking as it always is, and it's going to be hopefully a little bit of a shootout on Sunday night. So we got a couple good games next week, and I'm excited to finally watch a couple of them good ones. So
Yeah, no, we should have some fascinating football games. And even like that Falcons Bucks game, like it might be a little ugly to watch, but that'll be extremely competitive. Also, their division game there. Um, so even that Thursday night game, I think it's all going to depend on what type of New Orleans you're going to get, right? Are
yeah,
you going to get the elite New Orleans defense? Then that means that game will be very competitive also for Thursday night. So some very fascinating matchups for sure, which will
yep.
be kind of intriguing there. But before we wrap up, I do have a you want your fighting Phils looked pretty good this past week, huh?
Dude, we're back. We're so back. It's fighting Phils. I wanted to get
Did
into it as well.
did you look up for tickets or no?
Nah, you can't even touch them. They're too much. You got a better chance of going flying out to Phoenix and going to M games than trying to get one here
Going
in
back to
Philadelphia.
the D-backs game.
Oh yeah, it's easily probably I think
I can tell you right
five.
now, I got it pulled up.
Is it $500-$700 to get in?
No, I got some 228 action. It's up there. You're up there at the top, but 228.
Actually, it ain't terrible actually to get in, but usually they're way more expensive.
Game one of the ALCS is happening right now. Texas Houston. Texas is up 1-0 right
Yeah, a
now.
little Texas rivalry. It's gonna be a good one there.
Yeah, I'm kind of Scherzer's available. You're gonna see some Max Scherzer in the ALCS for sure.
I'm, I'm hoping Texas wins. I don't want to see Houston again. I'm kind of tired of them. Um,
Houston's the clear favorite. That's because
I know,
Texas
but
has no starting pitching right now. But
I'm rooting for Texas. I'm hoping that they come out. But
so
yeah, we're all in with the Bills.
what are the Phils winning in? We going winning in five?
Yeah, yeah,
Phils in
we're winning
five?
five. We're winning five. We timed it out perfectly. We beat the Braves. They suck. We all hate the Braves here. It's
All
unbelievable.
right, talk to me through how much trash talk was happening after Arcia made his dumb comments.
Oh my God. I mean, dude, I'm gonna say this to you as well, and it's been said countlessly here in Philadelphia. I just don't know how well it's gone out to the American public. Um,
It really hasn't made
Bryce
it to the West Coast.
Bryce Harper is probably the most perfect athlete for Philadelphia sports, and it's what we have want every Philadelphia athlete to be. Okay,
Okay, lay it on me.
he gets paid the contracts, and we're like, all right, how are you gonna withstand this, not withstand this contract, but how are you going to fulfill this contract, right? First things first, you got to accept the Philadelphia atmosphere, right? Like
Sure.
you got to be able to go to the sporting events. You got to be able to wear, all the sporting event gears, when he's coming in with the Trey Turner shirt, when he's coming in with the Coach Prime shirt, like literally that just makes Philadelphia. We absolutely feed on that energy, okay? Secondly, he embraces Philadelphia to a T. He loves everything about it. When he signed his 13-year contract, there was no opt out. He said, I'm going to die here in Philadelphia. And that's what we want. We want people literally, we will go to war for you as long as you die here. That's all we care about. And you work a little bit. If you show some sort of work, that's all we live for. Okay. But secondly, on the field, he's a complete douchebag, and we absolutely love it. A complete douchebag,
He is.
right? He just takes everything like so mentally, and you're like, what the? Yes, that's how we are in Philadelphia. But third, the clutch gene is incredible. And that's what makes it. That's
Yeah.
what makes Bryce Harper perfect for Philadelphia because he embraces all three of them. But the fourth one, he is able to clutch up and be like what we want him to be in the playoffs
Sure.
to a T. Like that home run that he hit was it game 3 or game 4?
Game three hit too.
Bro, oh my God. You're kidding me, right?
The
Like just
stare down both times. I loved it.
Like you're like, yo, what the? And then now Nick Castellanos is kind of getting a little cocky too, but I like it because he's
Oh yeah,
playing
he's got a little
wow.
swagger going right now.
I don't know if you saw the interview when they won it after Game 4. So I don't know if it was Buster. Buster only might have came up to him, asked like kind of didn't even ask him a question. He made a comment, said like, "Hey, like you're the only Philly. Like they had 2 home runs in a game and 2
Sure.
back-to-back games." And he goes, "Where's the question in that?" And he goes, "No question." He goes, "All right, then." I'm like, "Yeah, tell him, Castellanos. Yeah, who cares
He's
about them?
like,
They
I'm
don't
here to
care
try to
about them."
celebrate with my teammates, and you're just making a statement about me. Awesome.
Incredible. But I mean, look, we got Wheeler. He's an ace for us. Aaron Noles pitching solid, but we got Rangers Suarez, dude. It's a dude is incredible. He just pitches like he's so like nonchalant. Like here, I'm gonna throw a slider in here. Okay, he'll throw 50 to 70 pitches, get you through 5 innings, and then watch out, the bullpen's coming in. You know, but couldn't have timed up the victory any better because it gives us a couple days off. Wheeler's able to go game 1. We're able to start off fresh. Wheeler game 1, Nola game 2. We'll throw Ranger out game 3, and then we'll see where we're at in game 4, and that's all. But yeah, Phillies in 5. Lineup's too stacked up against the Arizona Diamondbacks. I'm gonna tell you, I don't even know anybody on the Arizona Diamondbacks. I think they got Evan Longoria. I saw.
They do.
I said, dude,
Batting like 7th too. He's like at the bottom of their lineup.
I said last time I heard about this guy was in the Tampa Bay Rays versus Philadelphia World Series back in '08. I go, I thought he should have retired years ago. Retired years ago. But yeah, I think Philly's in 5. Lineup's too hot. Vibes are too hot. It's gonna be incredible. I mean, City's gonna be on fire the next 2 weeks. So
That's what we like to see.
yeah,
Game one's tomorrow, everybody. Game 1 tomorrow, Monday night.
game one tomorrow. Game 1 tomorrow. ALCS right now. Texas versus Houston. You said. I
Who you
love to
got?
see
So you got
Texas.
who? So you're rooting for Texas? Do you
Oh,
think
root for
Texas
Texas.
wins? Do you think Texas
Yeah,
wins?
we'll go in on. Yeah, we're gonna double down. Texas it is.
Texas in 6.
Texas in 7. We'll give Texas Rangers in 7. We're gonna do Phils in 5. They're gonna be well rested. We're gonna be ready to rock and roll
I
for the
got the
World
Phils
Series.
in 5. I got Houston in 7.
All right. Yeah. I mean, whatever. A little rematch, but it's not gonna be the same result as it was last year, though.
He's already giving everyone a first-hand impression of what Philadelphia is right now. Basically saying, just hand them the ship. It's over.
Done. It's done. The storybook is written already, ladies and gentlemen. Just
Oh
end
my
it now. Phillies are here. I will say, I was talking to a couple of my buddies of mine and said, it's weird right now because we're not used to this as Philadelphia. Like to actually have a team that's like kind of the favorite in a lot of their series.
No, you
Like,
guys are the rest of the way. You guys are the front runner now.
like even that. I hate to say it. Like here in Philadelphia, like we when we went up against the Braves, we were like, oh, we're gonna win this. Like it wasn't like, oh, the Braves are like 100 game win team. Like, oh, like we got no shot, or like, oh, I mean, we got a little bit of a shot, but no. We all as Philadelphia go, there's no shot the Braves are winning this.
Yeah.
There's no shot. It's sports talk, talking with buddies, talking with family. It was like, yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of how many games and when the Phillies are going to wrap this up. Like that's essentially what we kept saying. Like
I
we were
love
like
it.
the Braves are too much in their head. We're in Strider's head too much already as it is. The guy can't have no fans in the stadium. Like get the hell out of here, dude. Like that's ridiculous. I mean, it was just incredible. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's what we thought. I mean, it's just wild because we've never had this feeling really before in Philadelphia where like literally we're gonna be the favorites. But we've kind of almost been the favorites in every series we played. At
Right.
least that's how we feel. So
That's fair. I love
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen,
So
you heard it here first. The Philadelphia Phillies will be the World Series champions.
yeah, Phil's 2023 World Series championship. The parade will be, I don't know, probably over.
Halloween. Give it on Halloween. Book it.
Holy shit! Actually, it might be. I mean, it might actually roughly. Nah. It can't be because they
No,
got to get through this week.
no, I don't
One
think that.
until
And then they have already have a set date for when the World Series starts. So
yeah, maybe a clean. If we get a clean sweep in a World Series, then yeah, it'll be Halloween. But I don't think that's happening. So yeah,
probably not.
yeah. So you know, but yeah, that's where we are.
Fascinating
So
stuff.
so that's where we're at. But oh man, all right. It was good stuff today. We actually did back-to-back podcasts. That's impressive stuff for us, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back next week sometime.
We'll
I don't
figure
know
out a
when.
day. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we don't know yet when, but we'll be back, recap a couple football games, recap the CS series as well. And Blaine will give us some hockey talk, and that'll be hockey talk, and that's just what it is. So
Yeah. I love me some hockey talk. Hey, Connor Bedard, real deal. A kid from the Blackhawks, the #1 overall pick. Man's got some nice flow, and he's got some pretty good puck. Pretty good guy with the stick and a puck.
and that's hockey talk, ladies and gentlemen. All right. As always, ladies and gentlemen, I will talk to you all later and see you soon.